The untouchable True School Sports Empire proudly presents something the boxing game's been missing. Hey, what's going on? It's your boy BT, and I came here to talk some boxing with the thousands of True School Sports subscribers. Now, interesting developments coming out that welterweight division. Your main man, the Golden Boy, Oscar De La Hoya, aka Mr. Fishnets. He came out and he stated that he would be interested in putting in his prized possession, his top prospect, his creme de la creme, top of the top, best of the best welterweight prospect, Vergil Ortiz, in a title fight versus Terence Crawford next. Let's get to the quotes and let's dissect from there. Oscar De La Hoya stated the following, saying, I quote, "He has such big potential. We're super excited about Vergil Ortiz. He's so talented. He can beat any welterweight out there right now. Any PBC fighter, we love to make that fight. The only guy I would think twice about making a fight with will be champion Terence Crawford, but it's still a fight that I would love to make now. I would put him in with Crawford next. We would most definitely do Crawford versus Vergil. I think working with Top Rank, Bob Arum has always been a pleasure, so I am sure it would be no problem." And that was it. And then now Todd DeBuff, the president of Top Rank, who you guys must know if you don't know already, Bob Arum has gotten so frustrated with Terence Crawford that he's pretty much gave the project of promoting Terence Crawford over to Todd DeBuff, and Bob Arum has wiped his hands clean with Crawford. That's where he's at with him. So make of that what you will. But Todd DeBuff, who's basically in charge of Terence Crawford at Top Rank, said the following. He was open to it. He was very open to that happening. He said, I quote, "We will always look for the biggest matches for Crawford. We have always said we will fight anyone." So there you have it. There you have it. This was a fight. A couple of months ago. I think it was like August when I was doing the interviews with my boy, amateur fighter over there in Dallas, Danny Calderon. Shout out to Dallas Danny if you guys remember that video. We talked about this fight back in August, and I was saying back in that video that, hey, I would love to see this fight because I feel like Vergil Ortiz, he's gotten some good experience in the ring. He's fought some good veterans. He still hasn't really been in that tough fight yet. Nobody's really punched him in his mouth yet, but that's really because he's just so good. It's not like he's fighting bums. He's fought good, crafty, game veterans. Faded veterans, yes. Guys who are on the back half of their career, yes. But guys that you would not expect a prospect of his experience level to be stopping as easily as he is. So he has shown great growth, great improvement. He shows fantastic fundamentals, a good base. Just a lot of things you can see in a future guy that could reign supreme over the division as not just a champion but a dominant champion. I really feel like even at his young age that Vergil Ortiz fights at such a maturity beyond his years that as long as he has the toughness to answer the bell, because I said the same thing on Daniel Dubois, but he didn't have that toughness when the going got tough to answer the bell when things got bad for him. So if he's got that toughness, I think he fights with maturity beyond his years to give himself a chance against Crawford. He's got size, he's got great fundamentals, great power. And I feel like this is the kind of opponent that I think would also work well for Terence Crawford because Vergil Ortiz, right now, he's looked at to be the next big thing at welterweight. Would the fight be a bit premature at this stage? A lot of people probably say yes, but I mean, a quick look at the rankings, right? When we take a good look at the WBO rankings, what do we see? We see Sean Porter number 1, and right behind Sean Porter, we see Vergil Ortiz number 2. So he's worked himself up. Vergil Ortiz, Oscar De La Hoya, and Golden Boy Promotions have worked themselves into a position of strength and power where they could, if they push for hard enough, and Top Rank is willing to make the fight, and Top Rank is willing to sign that contract, and Crawford is willing to fight him, they're in a position to where politically the fight makes sense. Politically the fight would make sense. Vergil Ortiz is a Mexican-American future star in the sport. So he's going to bring some eyeballs and some attention to Crawford, which at this stage what Crawford needs for his profile. I say it's a good fight. I think it's good for him. And like right now, who does Terence Crawford really have in a Top Rank stable that he could fight? There really is nobody. When you look down the list of the top 15 rankings, I feel like this fight with Vergil Ortiz and Castillo Clayton are probably the most realistic fights that we can make. Castillo Clayton's coming out of a performance against Sergey Lipinets where I thought he won. He didn't get the decision, but he showed that he belonged in the welterweight division against a guy like Lipinets. And I feel like, he'd be a good opponent for Crawford, but it's not quite the competitive fight that I think this fight could be. And it's not going to provide the kind of fireworks and the kind of interesting storylines that this fight could provide. So, like, I've been all in on this fight before Oscar even mentioned it. A lot of people are saying that Oscar is just doing this to boost up Vergil Ortiz's confidence, which it could be a case. He could be doing that. This fight might not happen at all anytime soon. But at the same time, you know what? I'm looking at the rankings. I'm looking at the structure of boxing. I'm looking at who could Crawford fight next, realistically, without Top Rank having to, like, grossly overpay somebody who doesn't deserve the money, like a Kell Brook, like they did with Kell Brook. And I think Vergil Ortiz makes the most sense. I think Vergil Ortiz would be a good fight for the networks. It'd be a good fight stylistically. And I think for both of those guys, in a weird way, they kind of need each other. Like, Crawford needs someone who isn't washed or looked at as like a mismatch. And while Vergil Ortiz might be green, I don't think anybody's going to look at Vergil Ortiz as a mismatch in terms of his skills and what he's bringing to that ring. And in terms of Vergil Ortiz, people already think this kid's the goods. People are already crying this kid as the next Mexican-American superstar along the lines of an Oscar de la Hoya, and the great superstar Mexican-American superstars of yesteryear. So if he is those things, and you're seeing that he's knocking out guys like Mauricio Herrera in a round and Brad Solomon, and he's folding up Antonio Orozco, good game, crafty, veteran fighters that know the way around that boxing ring. Well, what other level can you step up? Like the next level is Crawford. There is no other level but that. But like a guy like Crawford, one of the champions at 147. So I feel like you can take the fight. If he loses, look, nobody's gonna expect him to win because he's green. But if Vergil Ortiz wins that fight, he beats the pound king of boxing. He beats the guy that was a 3-division champion, undisputed, undefeated, the most dominant fighter in boxing. That's stopping everybody. Terence Crawford stopped his last 8 opponents. Hasn't gone the distance since the summer of 2016 when he fought Victor Postal. If Vergil Ortiz wins this fight against Crawford, a star would be born, and Vergil Ortiz would be in a power position to just rule over the division and dictate whatever he wanted to, because he's got the fact that he's Mexican-American, so he's going to have that built-in fan base to where when he fights and there's crowds again, people are going to come see him fight. He's got an entertaining style, so people who aren't even Mexican, just regular boxing fans, are going to gravitate towards him because he's a fun fighter to watch fight. So he ticks 2 boxes already, and then he beats Terence Crawford. Then he actually performed and did it in the ring, and he's not just living off hype, and he's not just living off of Mexican hype and propaganda and things like that. He's the real deal at that point. He's validated himself as the real deal at that top level, proving that he is creme de la creme, top of the top, the best of the best against the best of the best in Terence Crawford. So I love this fight. I'm all in for it. And all I can hope and pray for is that Oscar de la Hoya isn't just blowing smoke on everybody's asses. But that's the news. Vergil Ortiz, Terence Crawford. Oscar de la Hoya is interested in making that fight next. Todd DeBuff, who's now in charge of running Terence Crawford's career for Top Rank, said he's open to it. So make it happen. I want to see this fight. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Who do you think will win? How do you think Vergil Ortiz, at this stage of his career, what kind of chance do you give him against a guy as dominant as Crawford right now? Let me know in the comments down below. Make sure you take the time to subscribe. And like I say in every single one of these videos, you can love me or you can hate me, but I'm just a kid from Dang It. So until next time, take care, guys.